So I recently did a review on this Vector Optics Frenzy red dot with the acro footprint, and I was quite impressed with that dot. In fact, it's probably my favorite acro footprint red dot right now. Well, today we're going to be checking out its little brother, the Vector Optics Frenzy-MRT. Alright, we're over on the other bench, and we are going to go over all the specs and features of the Vector Optics Frenzy-MRT. And I'm going to go ahead and bring a picture up on the screen and show you everything that comes in the box. And it does come with pretty much everything you need. So let's get the dimensions out of the way real quick. This has an overall length of 1.61 inches. The overall height on this is 0.94 inches. And the width on this is 1 inch. Now, if you decide to mount this on a rifle, a PCC, or a shotgun, and you're going to use the provided 1913 rail adapter that comes with it, that's going to add a little bit to the width, and that's going to put you out at 1.81 inches. And this optic is fairly light. It only weighs 0.92 ounces. Now, the housing on this is constructed out of 7075 T6 aluminum, and if you decide to use the adapter for the 1913 rail, it is made out of 6061 T6 aluminum. And being that this optic is an enclosed emitter and it is made out of 7075 T6 aluminum, it does have an IP67 waterproof rating. Now, the window size on this optic is 17 by 20 millimeters, which is a little bit small. But being that it is an RMSc footprint dot and enclosed emitter, it's actually not too bad. And the glass on this is fairly clear here in the studio, so I'm sure it's going to look really good when we get it out to the range. Now, I already told you that this optic runs on a CR1620 battery. It does have a 50,000 hour battery life, but that's going to be on the lowest setting. And this optic also has shake awake, which is really going to help with that battery life, and we will be testing that out towards the end of the video. Now, your brightness level adjustment buttons are here on this side of the optic, and they put a really nice bezel around the buttons. You got your plus button here and your minus button here, and they are nice tactile audible clicks. And this does have 11 brightness settings. You've got 9 daylight settings and 2 NV. And another really nice feature on this, it does have a side load battery. It also has 2 screws holding the battery tray in, which I'm a big fan of. And one other thing that I really like that they did, normally these screws have a very small flathead slot, and they're just a pain in the butt to take out and put back in. Well, they actually used Torx screws on this, and they provided the Torx wrench to remove the battery door screws. Really nice design there on that. Now, I've got this optic turned on, and I've got it turned all the way up, and it is extremely bright. The last Vector Optics red dot I tested on the channel was just as bright as this one. Now, here in the studio, when I've got this turned all the way up, I am getting quite a bit of starbursting with this. But that's not the fault of the dot, it's because I have astigmatism. Now, when I get it out to the range, just like the other dot, I'm probably not going to have to run it with the brightness level all the way up like this. And when you turn this down, a lot of that starbursting will go away. Now what's really cool about this is not only does it have a 3 MOA dot, this does have multi-reticle. So you have a 36 MOA circle, and the crosshair on this is 46 MOA. So you can run this with just the dot, which is how I run them, or you can run it with just the circle and the crosshair, or you can run it with the circle and crosshair together with the dot. So it is super cool that this has multi-reticle. Now another thing that I really like that they did with this optic is they did add an iron sight to the back of the optic. So if this optic were to fail or go down, you will be able to use that backup iron sight with the front sight on your gun. Now if you want to cycle through the multi-reticle system, what you're going to do is hold the plus button. Takes about 3 to 4 seconds, and it will switch from the dot to just the circle. And you will hold it again, and now we are running the dot and the circle together. Now one thing I like to do in every one of these optic review videos is test the windage and elevation to see how tactile and audible they are. You've got your U right here for up. It is in white with your arrow pointing that direction. Pretty easy to see. They are 1 MOA per click. And you do have 90 MOA of total travel on the windage and on the elevation. Oh, that's nice. Nice tactile clicks. They are a little bit audible. Now let's try the windage. Same thing. Nice tactile click. I do notice that there's more of a positive stop in between each click on the elevation over the windage, but it's not bad. And the last thing I want to talk about, this does come with Vector Optics lifetime warranty. So when it came to figuring out what gun I was going to put this optic on, it was a pretty easy choice. I had just picked up the brand new Smith & Wesson 22X when this optic came in, and conveniently enough, the 22X slide is set up to direct mount any optic with the RMSc footprint. Now one thing that's really impressed me here lately with Vector Optics is how bright the red emitters are. And the emitter on this MRT is no different. Now here in the studio, when I've got this optic cranked all the way up on just the dot, I'm getting a little bit of starbursting. But outdoors at the range, it wasn't as bad as it is here in the studio. But the nice thing is, with how bright this red dot is, I do not need to use it on the highest setting. So I ended up turning this down to 7, and it was perfect for the conditions I was shooting in, and that starbursting cut down quite a bit. Now the nice thing is with this optic having multi-reticle is if you turn on the dot and the circle, or just use the circle, well, it is very clean. And when I'm using the dot and circle together, I'm not getting any starbursting at all. Now, just like every other Vector Optics red dot I've tested on the channel, the glass quality on this is really nice. The glass is very clear, does have the slightest bit of blue tint to it. So all in all, my first impressions with this dot when I got to the range was pretty damn good. Now, after I got the optic sighted in, I wanted to run a few mags through this gun just to get a feel for the gun, considering I just got it and these were my very first shots with it. And once I got comfortable with it, I decided I wanted to shoot some 10-shot groups. Now, they weren't the greatest groups that I've shot, but they were all in the A zone, and I was having no issues picking the dot up on the black and red targets. Now, normally when I do these optic reviews and I'm shooting the 10-shot groups, I'll shoot 2 groups, and then I go back to the tailgate on my truck, and I start racking the slide with the optic off the tailgate. But I did not want to do that with this 22X. This is a very lightweight slide, and I was afraid it might break the slide on this little pistol chambered in .22 long rifle. And I know that's going to make a few people upset, because normally I'm testing these optics on a 9mm, and I'm beating the crap out of them on the tailgate of the truck. So feel free to cry your eyes out in the comment section. Now, after I shot my 10-shot groups, it was time to move on to some different targets. And as you can see, things look quite a bit different in today's video than what you normally see me doing on the channel. And that's because I was out filming the day before a Steel Challenge match, and the Crawford County Sportsman's Club was nice enough to let me use one of their stage setups. And I'm never going to argue when I get to shoot steel all day. And I was having an absolute blast with this gun and this optic. And even though this is a smaller enclosed emitter red dot, which means it's going to have a little smaller window, I was having zero issues transitioning from target to target. And as the day went on, my shots got a little faster. So let's get into the pros and cons with the Vector Optics Frenzy-MRT. We're going to hit the cons first because I only have two cons when it comes to this optic. The first con is one that obviously everyone's going to know I'm going to say, and that's the fact that I hope they come out with a green dot version of this optic. It's absolutely awesome, and it could be just a little bit better with the green multi-reticle. And my second con, even though this has the side load battery tray, which I love, this runs on the CR1620 battery, and there are not very many dots out there that run on that battery. This one does. I do believe the Gideon Optics Valor Mini runs on that same battery, and not that there's anything wrong with it, it's just not the easiest battery to get, like a 2032 or a 1632. Now, when it comes to the pros, I got quite a few pros with this optic. One, it's enclosed emitter, and the longer I do this, I'm getting more and more away from the open emitter optics. One of the trade-offs in the past when it comes to enclosed emitters is the window size is really small, even on the ones with the acro footprint. But here in the last year or so, the window size is getting a little bigger and the housings are getting a little smaller. And even though this is a small RMSc footprint dot, it's got a pretty decent sized window. And the reason I like the enclosed emitter over the open emitters is the ease of cleaning these optics. When you have a very small RMSc footprint dot like this, well, it's really hard to take your finger and take a lens cleaning cloth and get to the back of the glass inside that housing. When you have an enclosed emitter dot, well, you got a piece of glass on the front and a piece of glass on the back. And if you're using this for a carry option, well, you can just take your t-shirt and wipe off the back of the glass and you're good to go. The next pro with this optic are the buttons to adjust the brightness level. They have a very nice tactile and audible feel. And if you look, they kind of put a bezel around it so you're not accidentally going to bump those buttons up and down and adjust your brightness where you don't want it. The next pro with this, it has multi-reticle. Now, like I've said in past videos, I don't really care about multi-reticle. I would just rather use the dot. But there are a lot of people out there who like multi-reticle. And like I said earlier, when you're running the dot and the circle on this, even if you have astigmatism, you're not going to get any starbursting. Unless yours is worse than mine, and mine's pretty bad. The next pro with this dot is they did put a backup iron sight on it, which I like to see on all dots, especially these type of dots, because an enclosed emitter RMSc footprint dot is going to get used a lot for carry. And if the dot goes down, well, it's nice to have that backup iron sight on the optic so you can use it with your front sight in a pinch. And the nice thing is on this 22X, well, that front sight is sitting up high enough that I'm able to use the iron sight on the dot with the fiber optic front sight. Now, this is not the last of this dot you're going to see. And for all those people that whined and cried about me testing this on a 22, well, this is going to go on a brand new gun that just came into the channel. I'm actually going to be using the frame of that gun with a different slide, and this optic's going to go on there. And I am going to beat the optic up on that gun, because chances are, if this works out the way I think it's going to, it's actually going to end up becoming my new carry gun. So if you're not subscribed to the channel and you want to see that, well, hit that subscribe button. So I really want to thank Vector Optics for sending this Frenzy-MRT out to the channel. I absolutely love it. They have been absolutely knocking it out of the park here lately with all the optics they've been sending me to review. And I'm looking forward to keep working with them in the future. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.